All right, everyone. Very warm welcome to all of you. So today the agenda is that we are going to be discussing the 1905 revolution, and this would be the seventh installment of the Russian Revolution series of decoding the NCRT, of unraveling the NCRT. Right, as you can see, I already have these notes that I've made. Unfortunately, what had happened was I had already created the 1905 revolution tutorial and I had recorded it as well. But then, of course, me being the most technologically advanced person on this planet, I forgot to record the audio along with it. And in fact, you will realize that I have done the same for the next installment as well, which is the First World War and the Russian Empire. But I hope that should not be a problem because, of course, you have the notes here anyway, and I will keep explaining as we go forward, right? Perfect. So before we jump into the revolution itself, we are going to discuss a little bit about the backdrop of the revolution. So before the 1905 revolution, if we consider the year 1904, right, which is 1 year preceding, you will realize that it has not been perhaps the best year for the Russian workers. Okay, it was a terribly bad year. The winter was particularly very harsh in 1904. Crops were failing left, right, front, and center. And to make matters worse, there was inflation in the economy. Right now, inflation is a concept in economics wherein the prices of basic commodities in the market, like basic things that you need to survive, the prices increase substantially. But along with the increase in price of the different products in the market, your wages, that is your salary, reduces. Not the best situation to be in, quite frankly. So as you can see, the Russian workers were really struggling with this nonsense. Right. So, since of course the workers were beginning to have a tough time in life, right, as you can very clearly see, more and more of them started getting associated with a larger number of socialist organizations, right? So, basically, the membership for socialist organizations drastically increased during this point of time. Okay, even though there were multiple socialist organizations that had come up during this time, one particular important socialist organization which we should be interested with, that was set up in the year 1904, was known as the ARW. Okay, it was known as the Assembly of Russian Workers. Okay, this was a pan-Russian empire organization. Basically, it covered the length and breadth and height and width of the Russian empire. Right, so it was known as the Assembly of Russian Workers, right, and different workers belonging to different parts of the Russian empire, because they were so depressed and so upset with what is going on in the country, they started flocking to this particular assembly, right? Now, if we look at the immediate trigger for the revolution that happened in 1905, it was because of the simple reason that four members of this particular assembly, okay, four members of this particular assembly were dismissed unfairly from a factory that was known as the Putilov Iron Works. Okay, they were dismissed unfairly from a factory that was known as the Putilov Iron Works. Now, if you are dismissed unfairly, you realize nobody is going to be very happy about it. Okay, nobody's going to enjoy whatever is happening. Okay, so clearly, immediately as soon as this happened, there was a demand to strike. Now, this is a very classic situation that happens whenever workers get agitated. The first thing that workers usually do is they go for strike, hartal, as we call it in Hindi. Okay, and there was a call for industrial action. Now, along with that, they had three basic demands that they wanted the Tsar to acknowledge. Okay, they wanted the Tsar to accept. And first was the reduction of working hours to 8 hours a day, pretty basic demand. Another basic demand there was that they wanted to increase their wages, and of course, they wanted to improve their living conditions. But of course, right? Now, in order to facilitate or in order to expedite right? The approval of these demands. There was this particular wonderful character who was the priest of a Russian Orthodox Church. Okay, his name was Father Gregory Gapon, right? His name was Father Gregory Gapon, and he basically was an individual who deeply cared for the welfare of the workers, or at least that is what he claimed. Okay, so this particular chap, what he did was he took out a peaceful procession, okay, like Mahatma Gandhi's Satyagraha sort of situation. He took out a peaceful procession of workers to meet the Tsar at his winter palace. He's like, okay, let's chill and let's go talk to the Tsar. He's a nice guy. He'll probably hear us out. Okay. Uh, cool. So, the Tsar had other plans. Okay, the Tsar really is in no mood to listen to these people, so they are marching towards the Winter Palace, and the Tsar sees this. The Tsar is like, I don't have time for these people, and I'm particularly not interested in meeting them, nor am I interested in listening to their demands, because he was one of the most arrogant people you could ever meet. So what this chap does is he orders the police and the Cossacks. The Cossacks are the Russian military guards. Okay, they are the military guards, right? So he orders the police and the Cossacks to shoot at the workers, okay, without any conscience or without any remorse about his actions. He just asks them to shoot at the workers. Now, in this process, there are 100 workers that are killed and there are 300 workers that are injured. This particular incidents where there is this violence that is happening in front of the Winter Palace and where the Tsar is ordering the shooting of his own people, it is known as the Bloody Sunday of 1905. Okay, the incidents is known as Bloody Sunday of 1905. Now, this was the actual trigger for the 1905 revolution. Fair enough. This was the actual trigger for the 1905 revolution. Now, what we have discussed up until now is the backdrop, the introduction, so to speak. Now, if you were to look at the revolution itself, let us see what were some of the major events that happened during the revolution. Okay. First was that the labor unions across the country went on strike. Okay. All the labor unions went on strike. The labor went on strike. Factories shut down. Blah, blah, blah. Student unions in universities. Okay. Just like you have the student council in the school, which works towards the development of the school, okay, and helps students out. Basically, student unions were there in universities also at that point of time to do exactly the same thing. So they walked out in solidarity with the workers. They moved out of campuses to protest against the nonsense that had happened on Sunday of 1905. Right. Then there were, of course, a large number of trade unions and workers' associations that were coming up. They started springing up even more and more and more. Right. And again, there was this very special thing that was started. Now, the lawyers, the doctors, the engineers, and the workers came together in order to establish something that is known as the Union of Unions. Okay, union of all the unions, essentially speaking, and the basic demand for the Union of Unions. Okay, I'm sorry, my dog barked for a moment there. Okay. So the basic demand of the Union of Unions was that they demanded a constituent assembly, okay, a free, fairly elected constituent assembly, which will be elected on the basis of universal adult suffrage. At least that was the plan. Okay, they thought that the Russian future is going to be democratic. They had these fancy ideas about the future of Russia. Okay, cool. But did it actually materialize? Let's have a look. Now, if we look at the aftermath, what exactly happened after the 1905 revolution? So, in order to pacify the people, the Tsar gave them a little lollipop. Okay, now if you imagine you have a crying child in front of you, you give the child a lollipop and the child becomes happy. Similarly, what the Tsar did was that the Tsar allowed the creation of an elected consultative parliament. Consultative is the keyword. A parliament which will consult the or give consultation to the Tsar, but their rules and regulations may or may not necessarily be implemented. Okay, basically a dummy institution, which he called Duma. Okay, the name, he kept a nice name, he called it Duma. Now the real authority of the Duma was severely restricted. Okay, the real authority of the Duma was severely restricted. The the Tsar took on the role of the supreme autocrat. Now, autocrat is a person who makes decisions unilaterally, single handedly, without consulting other people. So, he became a supreme autocrat and he took the power to dismiss the Duma according to his whims and fancies and call elections जब भी उसका mood आए. Whenever he felt like conducting elections for the Duma, whenever he felt like dismissing the Duma, whenever he felt like throwing people out, he would do exactly that. Okay. Now this is actually he literally did that. Okay, because if you look at what the Tsar did, okay, for the first Duma was dismissed in 75 days. The second Duma was elected within 3 months and again dismissed. And for the third Duma that he had elected, he filled that Duma with conservative politicians. Conservative politicians were those politicians who usually spoke in favor of the Tsar. So he played a dirty trick there. He filled the Duma with conservative politicians and he disallowed liberals and revolutionaries to be a part of the third Duma. Basically, the people who actually were against the Tsar, were against his policies, were not very happy with him. He did not allow them to be a part of Duma. What a smart guy. And last but not the least, worker unions and committees were declared illegal. All these committees that had started coming up, remember during the 1905 revolution, he's like, all of you are useless, I don't want to see your faces, you are declared illegal, period. That's it. Like he was eating a sandwich one fine day and he said all of you are illegal. Just that. Okay, and all of them were declared illegal. Right, so this was essentially the 1905 revolution. Okay, pretty straightforward. You will realize that this particular format would be followed for the First World War and the Russian Empire as well, which is the next part of the series, which I shall be doing very shortly. Right, anyway, thank you so much for listening and have a good day and bye bye. Take care.